For our second walkabout, we went to Wendy's Secret Garden. It only took about 20 minutes of travel to get there by a mix of train and walking. As soon as we started walking, we realized right away this was a nice upper class neighborhood. When we got nearer to the park, we saw nothing but nice condos and apartments that were clearly owned by the very wealthy, and very unlikely they had affordable housing, unfortunately. Then when we arrived at the park, it just looked like it was a bunch of just a big grassy field, which we were like, this is it? But we kept walking, and as we got closer to the water, we noticed there was stairs that led down into this just completely different biome. Entering down the stairs was like basically stepping into Narnia. It was a completely different place. It was like a jungle inside Sydney. There was beautiful trees, flowers everywhere, just crazy plants. I swear I even saw a lime. It was crazy. What really stood out to me was there was barely any people here, and all the people who were there didn't even seem to be local. They just seemed like young people our age that were wandering around. But one of my partners will go into that more in detail. What I thought was so unique about this place was how we were able to only hear the sounds of like the highway in the distance, birds chirping, and then occasional noises from the harbor. It was such a great way to escape city noises that you just can't really do anywhere else this close to the city. Uh, Beyond just looking around and just getting lost in it, we just spent all our time taking photos and just talking about how great it was. We did also spend a lot of time just thinking and pondering, you know, how this place exists, why it exists. We did research after and found out why this was the case, but when we went in, we had no idea. This also blended into gardens owned by the apartments right next door, which I thought was very unique because they had basically community vegetable gardens that anyone could use. It was also unique that it had such a beautiful view of the Sydney Harbor Bridge and was right by the famous amusement park here. Um, Another thing that stood out was there wasn't any homelessness. I did not see one homeless person, and neither did anyone else in my group. And beyond that, there's much more to this, and we did our readings, and tried to relate it, and we found that parks promote happiness.
As we walked through the garden, we noticed a lot of statues and artifacts throughout the pathways. Two of my favorites were the wheelbarrow and the railway switch lever. I found these both to be very unique additions to the garden, and I noticed a distinct contrast between the two statues. This contrast had to do with the transportation method of materials from the past compared to more modern style methods. I see this as a symbol of transitioning into a new decade of innovation and technology. This juxtaposed the concept of the park, and it's meant to counteract the urban development. The park serves a major purpose of creating open space and positive environment for free thought and tranquility.
So it's obvious that the area has both psychological and mental effects, not only for Wendy Whiteley, but for the citizens. It's therefore called a gift from Wendy to the people of Sydney. I can see how Wendy built the garden to escape reality and rehabilitate the loss of her husband. From what I understand, she still has a very close relationship to the place. She describes the garden as a symbiotic relationship between the plants, myself, and my gardeners. In a way, I feel like the creativity of the garden honors the mind of the artist Brett Whiteley. When comparing the garden to big parks in Sydney, the garden clearly has more of a spiritual effect than being a place for picnics and recreational activities. Walking the narrow trail through tropical vegetation with overhanging palm trees, listening to a wide variety of birds was more like an intimate nature experience.